Alright, so I'm going a little bit further with this for students that are advanced and really want to kind of go over and above, because I have those students. And just showing them this would be, I don't know, it's interesting, but let's take all these rotates out of here and think about what I can really do to kind of make this a little bit simpler as far as, let's say, moving and rotating things around. And it's certainly not simple to the fact that this has to be created, because once you create this little thing that I'm doing here, your head's gonna kind of reel in possibilities, as I call it. So what I did here is I created this little thing called a locator, okay? And I'm just gonna go through a sample thing here. So this locator, I want it to kind of travel around with the hand. And I want to travel in the respect to it's kind of put right here and hid. So in this case, it becomes the child, this becomes the parent, and I can parent it to this object. So now whenever I move this, it moves along with it. Can I grab the locator? Yes. Okay. The locator is a special item that you can add a whole bunch of stuff to. You can add attributes to other items, but this one, that's what it does. It holds attributes. It just sets a point in reference to something. So in here, I can grab the locator and add an attribute. And I'm just going to name this attribute hand. Okay. And I'm going to put something like a float. Its minimum is 1, its maximum is 10, and its default is 0. Well, 1. And then I'll apply that. Okay, so now I have this locator. It's called hand. And what I can do here is just kind of show you a little trick. If I go into animation here, and I go and animate, set driven key, set, I come up with this box. And in here, I'm going to say, this is the driver. So I'm going to load the driver. Hand is the actual driver itself. So the locator just holds hand, the attribute of it. And then what is really affected here? Well, I'm going to say it's going to be the rotation of this item, and this item. Well, I can't grab those. I can grab them here though. So in hypergraph hierarchy, I'll grab those 3 and I'll say load driven. Okay, what specifically is being driven here? Well, I would say it's the rotation in Z. Okay, let's go undo that move. So the rotation in Z. So I highlight all 3 of those and pick the rotation of Z. And right now I'm just going to key this the way it is. And you can see the rotation of Z is now keyed. Okay? And that's based upon the number in hand. So right now, hand contains 1. It should. If not, yep. So what happens if I add a 10 in here? Well, let's add a 10. And then let's rotate this whole thing. Let's rotate it like this. Let's do this in the side view. Rotate it and rotate it. So I can get it to the point where it looks closed. And keep in mind, I'll probably have 4 of these to do. So let's just do one at a time here. And let's go in here and now key that. Okay, so now hand. Let's go back to the locator. Let's kind of look at this. So it's on 10 now. What'll happen is when I click on this, middle mouse button, click and drag, I now have this. And maybe I make this a little broader. Maybe hand isn't hand. Maybe this is index 1. Okay. If I need to edit the attribute, I can go into edit attributes, and I can take hand and not make it hand anymore. Maybe I want this one index. Okay. Now it's called index. So that's good. Did the stuff carry over? Sure did. In fact, now in set driven key, even though it's called hand in here, it will have index. So I would set up index, middle, ring, and then pinky. And then if you got to think about it for a second, how would I make it so they all close at the same time? And I'm just going to leave you with that thought. How would you make them close all the time? Would you make something called fist? And then what would you key? Alright, so now I just opened your brain a little bit into some of the possibilities. Alright, so enjoy. That's for students that want to go over and above and want to make some interesting things happen as far as set driven keys and maybe a little mini rig here. Okay? Alright, enjoy. Have a good one. Until next helper video.